Welcome to the Musicians Creating Prosperity podcast. In today's episode, we uncover how to create the right relationships to succeed in business and in life. Why you want to make sure that you surround yourself by the right type of people, because at the end of the day, as the saying goes, we are the sum of the people we get to spend the most time with. And that matters. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Musicians Creating Prosperity podcast. I'm Dr. Fabiana Claure, and today we're going to talk about why you want to be very intentional about the environment that you build as it relates to your relationships. Who are the people you want to seek out to? How can you ensure that you are set up for the right success based on not only what you want, but also how you create the people around you to support you, to encourage you, and to motivate you to step into the best version of yourself. When we think about our perspective, one of the biggest challenges that I see musicians face is that they can feel lonely in their pursuit of their goals. They can feel that other people don't understand where they're going. They can feel in a certain way isolated because people around them don't get it. They don't see how they see. They don't believe in what they believe. And if you surround yourself all the time by people who are creating doubt in your plans and your goals and your dreams, and you're having to constantly justify and explain and try to convince those around you about what you want and where you want to go, chances are it's time to prune your yard. Here's what I want you to see. If you think about gardening, it is not just enough to water a plant, to give it proper ventilation, sunlight. You also have to prune the bad weeds that are growing around that are going to damage the plant. If you don't clear space out and you don't make sure that the plant is in the right environment, then the plant will die. The same thing happens with our own lives and our own dreams and our own goals. If we are trying to shine and to grow and to evolve into the next version of ourselves and to thriving human beings and entrepreneurs and members of society, and we are allowing our environment to dictate our choices and to influence us negatively, no matter how committed you are to your goals, no matter how much of a go-getter you are, the people around you will have an impact in you. I want to encourage you through this episode to start looking very intentionally to 3 types of people. And it doesn't have to be only one person, but let's talk about the characteristics of these types of people and why it's important to have them in your life. So number 1, make sure that you always have what's called the encourager, the person that will be helping you believe that what you're trying to do is not crazy, that will not always necessarily see eye to eye with what you're doing, but will still have a deep belief in you as the person. As I said, the journey isn't just about the vision, it's also about who's leading that vision. People invest in the jockey, not the horse. And if you are going towards a plan, you're building this horse, you're creating this amazing project, this dream business, and people don't believe in you, eventually that's going to have an impact on you. So look for people who are encouragers. Look for that version of yourself that will say, it's okay if other people don't believe in me. I'm going to find one person that I can count on to be my encourager. Can you have someone who can, again, they don't have to understand everything you're doing, but can be there to empower you and remind you of your goals, remind you of your potential, and be that person who can always have this feeling of faith and instill this feeling of faith that you can draw from and gather your energy around. This journey can be very up and down, right? Building a business, everything that we do in life, it's not always smooth sailing. There's ups and downs. Looking for that person you can go to, and no matter what, no matter how many mistakes, that person will be there for you, encouraging you to try again, to not give up. It's super important that you have that. For me, one of my top encouragers are my parents, both my mom and my dad. They've always been willing to encourage me to do the things. And I've always felt that they had that faith in my potential, that faith in what I could accomplish. And were always there for me, are always there for me, and are there from this place of support and encouragement. So if you have supportive parents, that's usually an incredible way to get started. And if not, find someone who you can consider your encourager. Find someone who you believe can be that person that no matter what is happening, whether you're winning, whether you're not, whether you're in a plateau, you can always have that conversation, that exchange, that moment of interaction where you come on the other side feeling encouraged. Think about who that could be for you. Number 2, mentors. You want to have the mentor, the role of a mentor. Why? Because a mentor is someone who will be able to pass on his or her experience to you based on having already done what you're trying to do. And it's not a difficult concept to grasp because as artists, we're dealing with mentors all the time. Think about right now your circle. Do you have a mentor? Do you have a mentor for maybe different areas of your life. I personally have worked with so many mentors since I started my journey as an entrepreneur. In fact, even before I started my first business, I had the opportunity to work with a division inside my university that provided mentorship for students and alumni and guided them on building their businesses. And it was incredibly helpful at a time where it had never occurred to me that I could benefit from having a mentor regarding my career, regarding my potential business or anything like that. I had always associated with mentorship for music instruction, but never for any other area of my life. And since I started working with mentors, not only within the context of a university, but then beyond that, working with mentors in many other areas of my life, privately, in business, mentors in health, mentors in parenting, coaching, advice to help better lead and guide our kids, mentorship for even helping our kids go to sleep and learning how to get my babies to sleep at night. I mean, I have always looked for mentors, health mentors. I've worked with multiple and I continue doing so. When you embrace the fact that you can benefit from learning from people who've already done what you want to do is incredibly helpful because it takes pressure off from you having to feel like you need to have all the answers all the time and that everything has to come from you. So do you have mentors right now? Do you have a mentor for your life? Do you have a mentor for the things that matter to you the most? If any area of your life right now is feeling stuck, yes, there's information you can access for sure. There's YouTube, there's Google, you can access so much information these days, but then there's a danger with only seeking information and not mentorship. Why? Because knowledge is not power. Knowledge is the potential of power. Ultimately, what matters is how you implement that knowledge. So if you are just consuming information, in fact, I was just talking about that with one of our clients recently, is that you can get yourself into a cognitive overload when all you're doing is just learning and trying to absorb as much information as quickly as you can, but you're not actually taking the time to create a plan of action and implementing anything specifically. If you are wanting to up-level your life and you're looking into best ways of building the right relationships, mentorship is the one way that you could streamline the decision-making patterns. When I am trying to make a decision and I'm overwhelmed with the choices and there's too many decisions that seem to be required from me, mentorship is what gives me the clarity. Being able to say, I've got all these ideas. Which one should I focus on right now? What would be the one that makes the most sense? There's no question that having a mentor will help you, even as it relates to creating better strategies. Sometimes we think we need to do things, and in fact, it's the opposite, or we need to do something very differently. But unless you have a mentor that can point that to you, you may spin your wheels in the wrong direction, and then you may end up very frustrated with how you've put all your energy and effort into a specific action plan that wasn't the one that was the right one for you. So mentorship is the second key relationship that you want to make sure you have in all the areas of your life. Now, this doesn't mean you need to go and get 10 mentors at once, but it is important that you acknowledge the value of having a mentor. Believe it or not, many musicians can see it in music, but not in any other areas of your life. Mentorship is a key relationship in what matters. Make sure you're seeking for that, right? You're looking for that. The third relationship that you're going to want to work with and build around is the accountability partner. You just understand that when it comes to taking action, sometimes we need to get it done and not continue overthinking it and pausing and reflecting and second guessing ourselves. It's very typical that you can have lots of ideas, but then you don't actually implement them, or at least you don't implement them at the rate that you could. For an accountability partner, you can literally find anyone to be your accountability partner that can be this person that you just share your progress, that you report on from a friendly energy, right? Not from a duty energy. Can you have someone that can be your check-in point, someone that can be your bouncing board, that you can say, I want to share what I've done and here's what I've made progress on. And I promised to myself I was going to do this last week. And here's where I'm at this week. Having someone to share your progress, to hold you accountable, doesn't mean you don't want to have your own internal accountability. I'm not saying that. But the purpose of this episode is to give you an overview of the 3 most important relationships that you can aim to have, that you can seek in your life to set yourself up for success. The accountability is one of the most valuable roles that you can have, because if you can have a way to share your progress and to share also when you get stuck, sometimes you just need to be able to share with someone, hey, this is frustrating and I need to just vent a little. Can you listen to me? Having someone who can also just be that accountability for you, whether things are going well or they're not, knowing that there's someone that is waiting to hear about your progress and to see how things are going, that's also very powerful. For me, my husband is in many ways my accountability partner, because I share all my goals with him and I share many of my dreams and my intentions as it relates to not only projects and goals, but also who I want to become in the process and the things I commit to being and the behaviors I commit to adopting, he keeps me in check. Like he helps me like check in with myself and see if what I said I wanted to do is actually showing and it's actually evident in the actions that I'm taking on a daily basis. And I really appreciate that because I can't lie to myself. I can't just say, oh, I want this, I want that, and then not having someone to check in and say, well, are you doing this thing? How's it going? It's so valuable to have that. And this doesn't mean that you couldn't have someone who could serve as all three. Obviously, I would think for most of us, we would want our immediate members of our family, spouses, parents, to be encouraging, to be supporting, to help us stay accountable. But what I'm trying for you is to be able to separate these characteristics so that you make sure you have these independently from having like a generally supportive like spouse. Having an accountability partner and making sure that you check in with this accountability partner in different ways. I know my sister many times has been my accountability partner as it relates to fitness. She has a Peloton, I have a Peloton, and we sometimes do rides together. And she's invited me many times to, hey, we're doing a ride on Tuesday or Thursday. This is the time. And she shares it with me. And that helps me stay accountable sometimes, right? And just to say, oh, okay, I know that she's going to be doing this ride, then I can join her, or I can do it, and maybe I send her a picture. That element of accountability, of being able to just say, hey, I did this thing that we spoke about. Yeah, we may not have been able to do it together, but listen, I did it on my own. I text her a picture of me just all sweaty, just on the Peloton, or even doing other types of exercises. Is like, we stay accountable to each other because we created goals, right? We established desires. We said, this is what we wanted, and we check in with each other. She has her own like mentors that help her with her health and her wellness. So do I, but we still serve as each other's accountability partners as it relates to health and wellness, for example. This is why it's so important that you think about, if right now you're feeling burned out, you're feeling isolated, you're feeling lonely, and you're wondering like, what else could I do to change things in my environment to feel more surrounded by love, by energy, by positivity? Yes, there's lots of things you can do internally, and I have a million episodes that you can probably listen to as it relates to internal hacks and neuroplasticity of your brain and rewiring your mindset. But for today's episode, I want to encourage you to look at your garden, see what you can prune. What are some of the relationships that you need to take away because they're becoming weeds that are starting to erode on the health of your beautiful plant? How can you instead make sure that you're placing the right type of soil, water, and sunlight so that you grow and thrive in the right environment? Number one, have someone who encourages you. Number two, have someone who mentors you, shows you the way. And number three, have someone who keeps you accountable. And with those three relationships, again, it doesn't have to be one person alone. You can seek multiple. But if you are intentional and deliberate about improving the quality of your surroundings and the relationships that you have, it will feel a lot easier for you to do what you need to do, which is continue up-leveling yourself, hopefully finding better ways of working, of living and thriving, and building the ultimate prosperity. I hope this episode helps. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And until next time, let's prosper together.